our centering. So let's just take a moment here as you find your seat. And just begin to breathe into your center. Breathing past the annoyances that we had to go through to get in this morning. And breathing into the still space that you have within. And as you feel your physical body here beginning to settle, maybe you encounter a little bit more space to breathe into. And so perhaps here we can begin to lengthen your inhale and to allow for a slower, longer exhale to match. And from this space, begin to connect with your intention for your practice this morning. Helping you best meet your needs throughout this next hour. And as you find your intention, invite both hands to join at your heart in this nice Anjali mudra. And as your hands join, find this action of consciously pressing left hand to right, right hand to left. Of consciously drawing the base of your thumbs into your sternum, and with your shoulders rolling lightly backwards, find a lift in your sternum. And feel your intention radiating outwards, filling up all this inner space. And in honor and support of your intention, and to support the intentions of those who practice with us, let's take a nice Om. Sure, big inhale, come in here. Om. And as you exhale, draw your chin inwards, release your hands down. And we'll begin lying on our backs this morning. So go ahead and make sure that you have your strap or scarf handy. And as you come to lying on your back, you can come with your knees bent. So maybe your hands, palms facing down next to you. And just begin to bring awareness here to the feel of your spine on the ground. Maybe wiggle into your toes. And let's draw your right knee inwards. Interlace your hand behind your right thigh if that's comfortable. And just support your lifted right leg here. I'm going to take this movement now upwards into the right toes. Creating a little bit of space and movement into your toes. Let's begin here to press your toes upwards, pointing your toes here towards the ceiling, and then draw your toes inwards, pressing up through your heel. And so we'll inhale, point your toes, lengthening into the front of your foot. Exhale, lengthen into the back of your leg, pressing the heel upwards. And just begin to pair this movement with your breath. You might stay with this forward and backwards, already activating some pretty big muscles here with this movement. You might choose to take this into a little rotation of the foot, bringing that movement a little bit more into the joint of your ankle. And the next time you find your toes drawing in, heel pressing up, let's switch the direction if you're choosing this rotation. Take one more nice inhale here. Press up through the sole of your foot, and as you exhale, lengthen this leg long on your mat. So left knee stays bent. Right leg is nice and long here, and just begin to rock into that right heel. And that rocking action is going to come all the way up into the right femur, rocking into the hip. Good. Slow this rocking motion. Just begin to bounce that right knee here. Just bringing a little bit of energy, a little bit of activation into this right leg. Pause here. Soften your right leg down. Bend into your right knee. Draw your left knee into your chest. Interlace your hands behind the left thigh and just begin to lengthen that left foot up towards the ceiling. Again, starting with just your toes. So finding a little bit of movement into your left toes. Maybe trying to pull the toes away from each other as if you're trying to create space and see between the toes. Create like some fancy new Instagram filter. And then let's begin to inhale, press your toes upwards, and exhale, press your heel upwards. So inhaling to point your left foot, exhaling to flex, and just allowing yourself here to drop into your body's rhythm. Good, and maybe staying with this movement if that's what serves you, maybe taking this movement now into your ankle, finding this nice rotation of the left foot around your left ankle. If you're choosing this rotation, we'll pause here and then rotate in the opposite direction. Good, nice big inhale here. As you exhale, release your long left leg down to the ground. Find that gentle rocking side to side into the left heel. Let that rocking come all the way up so that even your thigh is moving side to side. And feel that rocking coming into the left hip. And then beginning to take this rocking into a little bounce of the knee up and down. Yeah. Kind of letting that action be almost a massage for the muscles in the back of your left leg. And next inhale, let's draw the left leg in, settle your left foot back onto the ground. Take here your yoga strap or belt or scarf. Draw your right knee inwards and loop the strap around the ball of your right foot. So taking care to keep that strap out of the arch, out of that curving inwards, and keep it in the fleshy area directly underneath your right toes. And then as you straighten your right leg, give yourself enough room with your strap here so that your elbows can rest easily on the ground. So we don't want to be pulling our head or shoulders up. You want your elbows to rest easily down right next to your ribs. And we're using the strap just to gently tug the foot into a flexion position. So you want the sole of your foot parallel to the ceiling. You can have your leg gently away from the body, creating an outwards angle. You could have it straight up and down. Whatever feels good for you here. So just encouraging a gentle opening in the muscles in the back of your leg. You might keep your left leg bent. You might choose to straighten your left leg here for a little intensifier. And just coming to the breath here. So these longer held poses give your body an opportunity really to open into these shapes that we're exploring. And usually what that means is that we're not going to go into the full expression of the pose. We don't want to go to our 100% because we're sitting, we're holding. And so what that means is you might want to stay at about 70% of how far you could go. And what that does is it creates that space for you to continue to breathe easily, to breathe fully. And so if you notice as we move through this sequence that you're holding or hitching your breath, that's a good cue from your body to back up. Let's begin here to take both ends of the strap here into the right hand. Left hand is going to come onto the ground. I'm going to scoot because I'm right up next to this curtain behind me and I'm not going to have room to open my leg. And that's the direction we're going. So we're going to open to that right. And before I open, I really want to continue this nice alignment in my lifted foot. So I'm keeping this pressure up through the ball of my right foot into my strap. Nice big inhale here. As you exhale, begin to open your leg to the right. And you might come just a little bit. You might come to a lot. What I want you to keep in mind is you want to keep yourself at about 70% of your body's ability. So the reason we don't go to 100%, and 100% is more that muscle work. So you might come easily right leg open down to the ground without work, and that's fine. But if you feel like you're really straining to get there, you're not going to be able to comfortably hold the pose and get the benefit. So whatever 70% means for you today, go there. And as we hold here, continue to breathe fully. Fill your inner space up with this fresh prana, fresh energy of your inhale. And you might notice as you hold that your body just naturally begins to open a little bit more. And that's what we're looking for, that natural rather than forceful opening. One more full yogi breath here. Big full inhale. Full complete exhale. Let your next inhale to begin to bring that lifted leg back towards center. And again, take one end of the strap or block or belt into each hand. And here we'll take our strap into our left hand. Right hand's going to come to the ground right where your glutes meet the ground. And beginning here to cross your body, taking the stretch into the outer band of the right leg. I want you to bring your foot back towards center when you feel your right glute begin to peel up and away from the ground. So we're not flopping over to the left and lifting the right hip up. We really want that right hip to stay down. Right foot stays nice and active here, pressing the ball of your foot into your strap. And then breathing into whatever sensation you find here. Good. On an inhale, let's begin to bring your lifted leg back to center. Again, take one end of your strap into each hand. Keep your elbows resting easily on the ground. Take just a few more breaths here with your right leg lifted. And as you exhale, release your strap. Let your leg lengthen downward. Let your body relax fully here. If your left leg stayed bent, go ahead and straighten your left leg here. Let yourself breathe into the space that you've created. Let your body feel heavy here. It's these pauses that really allow your practice to sink inward. Sink in beneath the surface, giving you those benefits that run deeper than the physical. And from here, let's begin to bend into both of your knees. Settle both of your feet to the ground. Invite your left knee inwards. Loop this strap around the ball of your left foot. Again, taking care to keep your strap out of the arch of your foot. And then lengthen that left leg long. Good. Find the length that you need to keep your elbows drawing in towards your side. You might notice that you have a little bit more or a little bit less flexibility on this side. Do your best to release any story that your mind has tied to that. Natural for the body, maybe a little different, maybe a little asymmetric. And just let yourself breathe into what you encounter on this side. I want you to keep your right leg bent to that right sole of the foot in the ground, or to lengthen into the right leg here. And still breathing deeply. So using the breath here, not just to allow our body to open into the pose, but also to explore the physical sensation of the stretch. Yoga helps us differentiate between pain, which we never want to go to in our practice, and the sense of sensation, the sensation of a strong stretch into fascia that might be feeling tight, into muscles that maybe have been working hard. So option to stay here or begin to set up for the stretch in the opposite direction. So taking both ends of your strap into the left hand, really committing to this alignment of the left foot pressing through the ball of your foot. And as you're ready, opening a little bit or a lot to the left. And again, finding that about 70%, maybe 80% of where you could go. And then pausing there. As you breathe, maybe your body opens a little bit more. Good. Stay rooted here in your breath. Use your next inhale. Guide your leg back up towards center. Take the strap into each hand. And then taking now both ends of your strap into your right hand. Guide that left hand down to the ground, right where your glutes meet the earth, and begin gently to cross your leg. So this might be a really tiny movement. You might just go from here to here. It might be a bigger movement, but again, keep that left hip connecting downward. And on an inhale, we'll guide your leg back towards center. Once more, taking one end of your strap into each hand. Nice big inhale here. As you exhale, we'll gently release your strap, release your leg all the way down to the ground. And let yourself just melt here. Breathe into the space that you've created. On an inhale, keep your legs long. Begin to extend your fingertips behind your body. And as your fingers come behind your body, stretch your toes and heels forward. Stretch your fingers backward. Breathe the length of your body. Nice big inhale here. As you exhale, draw your knees in. Bring your hands around your knees. Give yourself a squeeze and a little rocking side to side, massaging into your low back. And we'll begin to bring ourselves forward. So either roll over, press yourself up, or you could rock and roll forward along the length of your spine. Either way, we'll come to a seated position in a mat with your knees pointing up to the ceiling, heels and toes forward. Yeah. Let's lean back into your hands here. So press your fingertips into the ground. Begin to draw your low back inwards. Lift your heart up. Keep your hands pressing down, arcing into the spine. Lift your gaze here. You nice deep breaths here. Good. On an inhale, come forward. Stretch your fingertips up to the sky. On an exhale, soften over your legs. Reach your hands down wherever they land. Let your head be heavy here. If you feel a tugging behind your knee, bend your knees a little bit more deeply. If you feel good, if you have some freedom behind your knees, maybe lengthen your legs a little bit forward here, pressing your heels towards the top of your mat. And just coming here into our Paschimottanasana stretch. And this stretch really named for stretching the back more than the legs. We've done a lot to open your legs here. And if you feel this only between the legs, that's a message just to take a little bit of pressure out of the legs and more deeply into the knees. We really want to feel this stretch more in your back body. Take some nice deep breaths here. Good. On an inhale, let's begin to press yourself up to a comfortable seat. Good. And as we come to our seat, we'll bring ourselves to our hands and our knees. Now, if you're working with blocks this morning, go ahead and bring those blocks to the top of your yoga mat, just out of the way, close enough to grab if you decide you want them, and bring yourself to a tabletop position here. Draw your shoulder blades towards each other, pull your heart forward, lift your gaze upwards, and as you exhale, round into your spine, send the center of your spine pressing up. Moving here through our Chakravakasana, nice inhale into our cow pose. Exhale into our cat pose. Moving here with your breath, bringing this movement and awareness that we brought into the legs now into your spine. Good. Let's bring ourselves to a neutral spine here. Gaze directly down between your thumbs. Walk your right leg forward between your hands. And here's an option. You might grab those two blocks. Let's put your hips soften forward here. So we did a lot of work into the muscles in the back of your leg. Here, we're bringing that stretch now into the hip flexors, also into this front thigh, this left thigh. You might be feeling a option for those back toes to curl under or to stay uncurled. Breathing deeply here. Good. Maybe staying here, maybe curling those back toes under here, lifting the back knee up and away from the ground. Good. Here's a nice opportunity for an inhale. Exhale, you can soften that back knee down. So option here to bring this into a dynamic pose, inhaling back knee up, exhaling back knee down, or to keep it into a soft, more restorative, keeping that back knee down. And so just exploring what feels best for your body here. Good, and the next time you find your back knee lowering down, let's pause here. Begin to draw your right heel backwards and then walk your right foot towards the left side of your mat. Right knee's going to come down here. So transitioning here towards our pigeon pose. So as the right knee comes to the right, lift into that back leg, curl the toes under, lift your back knee up, walk your back knee backwards and then lengthen the leg long. And it was an option to slip a blanket underneath the right hip. So if the right hip's reaching away from the ground, give yourself some stability there. And so moving here into our king pigeon pose. And I like to start with this nice lifted pigeon, and I find the blocks really handy here. So settle your blocks underneath your shoulders. Lift your gaze upwards here, breathing in our lifted pigeon. Fill this shape with your breath. And as you exhale, begin to walk forward. As you come forward, maybe your hands want to join. And as your palms join, you could bend at the elbows and then rest your forehead in that little shelf made with your thumbs. Another option is to cross your forearms and to rest your forehead down onto your forearm. So choosing here which of these two movements serves you best, and then let yourself here drop into your breath. Good, and on an inhale, we'll begin to press your hands back into the ground. Walk your torso upwards. If you have any support beneath your hips, go ahead and scoot that out of the way. We'll begin to walk our back knee inwards. As your back knee comes beneath your hip, walk this front foot forward here, and then lengthen that right leg back. Press back through your right heel. Roll forward, maybe over the right toes, maybe lifting the toes up, bringing the top of your foot to the ground. Just taking some nice opening here. So we created a lot of compression into your right hip flexor. I'm just beginning to work that out here. The next time you find yourself pressing back through your right heel, rotate those right heels down, toes forward, stretch your right arm up to the sky. Yeah, taking this little variation of our side plank. Maybe keep that right arm lifting up. Maybe bring the right hand behind the back, dropping your gaze to your supporting arm. Maybe stretch those right fingertips forward, bringing your arm parallel to your ear. So no right or wrong here, just kind of exploring which of these movements feels best for your body, or maybe moving through all three of them. So from behind your back up to the sky to reaching forward. Anything that feels natural to your body here. And let's gently begin to bring ourselves back down to your hands and your knees here. And as you come back into your tabletop position, let's join the inner knees and inner thighs towards each other. Tick-tock your knees to the right, gaze comes over the left shoulder. And to bring yourself through center and opposite direction. So we're just tick-tocking our knees side to side, looking over opposite shoulders, away from the hips. And here, let's bring ourselves back into that hands and knees position. I'm going to adjust a little bit here. There we go. Good. So as we come back into our hands and our knees, if you did use blocks on the other side, make sure they're set up for use on this side. Let's walk our left leg forward here. An option to bring your hands here up onto blocks. Good. So just bringing awareness now here into the left hip flexor, the left thigh. I'm sorry, right hip flexor, right thigh. Always that option to curl your back toes under. Breathing here into any sensation you find. Good. An option to stay here, back knee down, or we can take this into a little dynamic movement. So maybe curl the back toes under, use an inhale, lift your back knee up, and exhale, soften your back knee down. And so moving with your own breath, or staying still and just staying super conscious of your own breath and how your breath is moving here. Good, and if we've been taking this dynamic movement, let's bring ourselves to a stillness here. Set your 2 blocks out of the way. Begin to walk your left foot towards the opposite side of your yoga mat. And as your left foot crosses your mat, your knee is going to come down. So setting ourselves up on this side for our pigeon pose. Let's curl the back toes under if they're not already. Lift your back knee away from the ground. Let your right leg lengthen and then lower back down here. Good. Hands could walk back by the hips, maybe up on blocks here. Find this action of lengthening into the side body, pulling your heart upwards, lifting your gaze here. So upper body is almost like in a cobra pose. Nice big inhale here. As we exhale, begin to walk your hands forward. And so options, you might choose to cross your forearms here, rest your forehead down there, or join your palms towards each other, bend into your elbows, and rest your head on that little shelf that your thumbs make. Good, nice big inhale here. Exhale, begin to press your palms underneath your shoulders, lift your torso upwards, curl your back toes under, invite that right knee to come in, and then free your left leg. Send that left leg reaching behind you, toes down to the ground, heel pressing backwards, and then exhale, come forward, maybe bring the toes down to the ground. And so possibly rolling over the toes if that's available to you, maybe just lifting and lowering here. And just taking some time here, freeing up that left hip flexor, bringing some good juju back in there. And the next time you find yourself pressing back through your heel, spin the heel down, toes come forward, left leg rises, or left arm rises upwards here, coming into this variation of our little side plank. Good, an option here to stay static, breathing. Maybe that lifted hand wants to come behind the back. Maybe the gaze wants to drop. Maybe your left arm wants to come forward, stretching towards the wall to your left. Maybe the gaze wants to lift. Or maybe we just want to be in movement here. So taking these little variations are your opportunity to make this practice yours. I think that's one of the biggest gifts that we get from doing our practices from home. We take that element of competition that sometimes arises in a yoga class, that kind of comes out of it here. Good. The next time you find your fingers reaching up to the sky, let's take this opportunity to bring ourselves back to our hands and our knees, please. And from your hands and your knees, maybe separate your knees wide, maybe keep them drawing towards each other. Let's sink the hips back towards the heels. So coming here into your pose of the child, rest your forehead down on some support or on your mat. Maybe staying here with your arms long in front of you, maybe join your hands together, bend at the elbows, and draw your fingertips behind your head. Good, and on an inhale, if you have bent into those hands, let's straighten into your elbows, walk your palms down. We'll walk your palms inwards here. Bring yourself up to a seated position. Could be kneeling, could be cross-legged, whichever is the most comfortable for you. Good, and if you are cross-legged or if you're kneeling, you might take some support underneath your seat. Might be a blanket, might be a block. If you're experiencing any discomfort in your hips. or in your feet. Take a big inhale here. Stretch your fingertips to the sky. Interlace all but your pointer finger. Good, so option for straight arms here, or if you bend a little in the elbows, that will give some space into your shoulders if you're feeling constriction there. Good, still with fingers pointing to the sky, bring your awareness to the space beneath your chin. So you want the chin parallel to the ground here. So let your awareness come up into your jaw, and notice here if you're gritting into your teeth. Maybe invite some space between the back teeth, maybe some space between your tongue and the roof of your mouth. And now bring your awareness to your shoulders. So you want your shoulders centered beneath your ears. Maybe that means drawing the back of your head slightly towards the wall behind you. Good, let your eyes close here. Bring your inner gaze to this brow point, just between and above the brow. The option to stay here, pressing upwards through your fingers, pressing upwards through the crown of your head, or you might choose to layer on our breath of fire. It's a nice activator for the immune system. Also a good introduction of energy for the body. So if you'd like to layer on breath of fire, take a big inhale here. We'll begin pumping the belly, letting that sharp exhale come out of your nose. Good, big inhale here. As you exhale, release your hands. Take a twist to the right. Left hand comes to your right knee. Right hand comes behind your body. Gaze over that back shoulder. Breathing deeply here. Inhale, let's bring it back to center. Extend your fingertips upwards. Find your steeple mudra and interlacing all but that pointer finger. Bring your head into alignment here. Bottom of your chin parallel to the ground. Ears centered over your shoulders. And as your eyes close, let your inner gaze find that space just between and above the brows. Option to stay here with a long, steady breath, or to take a second round of our Kapalabhati, little breath of fire here. Good, big inhale here. As you exhale, open your eyes, release your hands, twisting now to the left. Gaze comes over your left shoulder. Breathing here into this space. Inhale, bring yourself back to center. Stretch your arms upwards. Maybe find that steeple mudra here, setting up for our last option for that round of breath of fire here. Inhaling to prepare, and then we'll begin. Good, big inhale. Squeeze your muscles inwards, retain your breath inwards. And as you exhale, let your eyes open, bring both hands down to your knees. Good, let's round into your spine, drop your chin to your chest. Good, inhale, send your heart forward, lift your gaze upwards. And so a few rounds here of our seated cat and cow. Inhaling, coming forward. Exhaling, rounding backwards. That Kapalabhati sends a lot of heat into our body. That's part of the reason it's named our breath of fire. So let's move that energy up the spine. Good. And so here, if you're not kneeling, bring yourself into a kneeling position. You might choose to set a blanket underneath your knees. We're going to come to a tall kneeling position. And if you have your blocks handy, go ahead and grab those blocks. You can set those blocks back by your heels. Toes here are curled under. Good. Roll your spine backwards here. If you have any low back pinching or discomfort, go ahead and separate your knees wider than your hips. Good. Draw your thumbs towards each other in the low back. And if your thumbs come towards each other, just press your thumbs in and draw them slightly down. So it's as if you're trying to give yourself a little massage here. Good. Keep that action, thumbs drawing down. Point both elbows backwards. Begin to lift your sacrum up. Lift your gaze up. So coming here into a little rounded spine, little arched spine of our camel. Let's inhale, come straight back to center. Go ahead and take a block into your right hand. Left hand is going to stay on the back, so drawing downward. Bring that left thumb towards the center of your spine. Good. Find that action of curving into the low back. Let that action come up your spine. Reach backwards with your left hand. Plant your left block by your left heel. Stretch the right fingertips up and back, coming into our half camel here. Good. Inhale, bring yourself back up to your tall kneeling position. Go ahead and switch your block into the opposite hand. Good. So hand is going to come to your hip. Right hand now is going to reach backwards. So roll the right shoulder backwards, plant your block, press your fingertips into that block down, and then release your left hand from your hip. Left hand stretching back and up. Inhale, bring yourself back up. Take a seat here, either onto your heels if that's comfortable or in a cross-legged position. We've been keeping it low to the ground today. I'd like to add one standing pose into this mix. So I would love to start with your blocks. We've done a lot with blocks today. So settle your two blocks in front of your knees. Begin to lean forward, and then leaning into those blocks, walk yourself up into a wide-legged shape. Toes are going to be pointing forward, heels backwards. Outer edges of your feet are going to be parallel to your yoga mat. And if they're not already, walk your blocks so that they're underneath your shoulders. Always the option here to change the height of your blocks. If you feel like you're not getting any good stretch, maybe bring your hands to the ground here. Bring your spine into a shape where it's parallel to the ground. So we just did a little bit of back bending. And it feels nice after back bending just to lengthen into the spine. So with your spine parallel, inner spiral your inner thighs towards the wall behind you. Keep your chin drawing in here. Keep the back of your neck parallel with your spine, with the ground, and press forward through the crown of your head. So it's almost as if you're being stretched and trying to breathe into the space that you're creating between your vertebrae. Good, breathing into this shape. Good, from here, let's begin to bend into your right knee, straighten into your left leg, walk your blocks over to the right, coming into our Skandasana. Good, option to stay here, both hands down on the ground or on your blocks, or stretch your left fingertips up to the sky. Good, if the left fingertips are lifted, use an inhale, bring your palm back down, catch the floor, catch your block, bring yourself back to center, spine parallel to the ground, outer edges of your feet parallel to the outer edges of your yoga mat. Good, find the action of stretching your sit bones behind you and extend the crown of your head forward. Breathe into this space. And now begin to walk your hands towards the opposite side of your mat, bending into the left knee, straightening into the right leg. Good. Option here to keep both hands down or extend the right fingertips upwards. Good. On an inhale, that right hand is lifted, lower it back down to the ground. Straighten into your left leg. Bring yourself back towards center into that Prasarita Padasana. Option is stay high here. Keep your spine parallel to the ground, or you might choose to let your spine round. Drop the crown of your head down. Maybe walk your fingertips here back towards your heels. Good. On an inhale, begin to walk your hands forward if they're not there already. Press your hands down into your blocks or into the ground. Begin to heel toe your feet towards each other. And as your feet come inwards, let's bend again into your knees. Bring your body back downwards, coming back to your feet. Coming down to your mat. And as you come down to your mat, bring yourself once more lying on your back body. Your knees bent and pointing up to the ceiling. Extend your fingertips away from each other, bringing your arms into the shape of a T. Bring both knees inwards and just begin to rock your knees from side to side, massaging here into your low back. Good. The next time you find both knees rocking towards the right, let's release your knees downwards here. Let your right hand settle in your top knee, your gaze come over your left shoulder. And coming here back to your breath. Good. If your right hand is holding onto your left knee, release your hand back out into the shape of a T. Use an inhale. Bring your legs back towards center and find again that rocking side to side, little tick-tock of the knees. And the next time both knees are reaching towards the left, let's drop down here, coming into our Jasara Parvriti on this side. Settle your left hand maybe into the right knee. Maybe rotate your gaze, looking away from your knees. And inhale here, bring your body back towards center. Extend your heels forward, stretch your fingertips behind you. Take a nice big inhale into your whole body, stretching long. And as you exhale, let your hands come to rest down by your side. Let your eyes close, feel your body heavy here. Feel your body heavy here in the earth, supported here. Let yourself come into a stillness. Let your breath easily enter and leave your body with no attempt at control from you. Let yourself come to a softness, space where your mind, body, and spirit can digest this practice.
Your awareness gently return to your breath. Begin to find some small movement here into your body. Movement into your fingers and your toes. Your wrists. Your ankles. As you're ready, take a nice big full body stretch. Bring your knees inwards, wrap your arms around your knees. Find that movement side to side. Coming as you're ready to rest easy on one side. Let your top arm guide you back to a seat. And as you return to your seat, find a comfortable seat with your hands inwards, your eyes closed. And just taking this moment to observe here the effects of your practice on your mind, on your body, on your spirit. I'm so grateful today and always to share a practice with you